I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. We are living through unprecedented times with a global pandemic now approaching its third year. As a result, the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund was created. This fund, administered by the state of Michigan, is designed to help homeowners cope with pandemic-related hardships, such as delinquent property taxes. To see if you qualify, please visit. Call 313-388-9799 or email taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day to all that might be watching and viewing and listening today. If you were looking for the weekly broadcast of Ask Welfare Rights, you've been successful once again. We are here. I still say we, even though Miss Marion has been away for a little while. She's trying to act like she's retired, and that's what's going on. But we have a studio guest who will remain unnamed. From Michigan Welfare Rights today. I'd like to welcome you all to the broadcast. You know the numbers already, 313-868-0342 or 868-0351 or 868-4336. Over the next few minutes, we're going to bring as much information, resources, and pieces of information that might help you or members of our community. And when I say our, I'm not talking about black folks only. I'm talking about low-income people who need help. First thing I want to bring up, and I want to talk about it a couple of times, this is a great time to be in and live in Michigan. All kind of rights for workers are being exposed. The Right to Life program that Republicans brought in about 10 or 11 years ago that said individuals can join or can become employed at this place or that place. They don't have to join the union or pay union dues, even though if they get into trouble, the union is there and expected to help them. That's out. If you're going to be a member of the Girl Scouts of America, Boy Scouts of America, you plan on going camping, and festivities and events with the rest of us, pay your damn dues or go someplace else. So that's out. Reproductive rights are always an issue. We got a judge down in Texas that says some kind of pill that would prevent a woman from being pregnant is really an anti-abortion pill, and that judge is looking to sign legislation that would color the right to have any kind of surgery you want if you're a woman. And he's trying to make that happen for all the ladies in America. Whoever this guy is, and I didn't write down his name, ladies down in Texas, when the vote comes up, get rid of his no-good, trifling, treacherous behind. Send him to Marvin. Who is Marvin? It's when you make that call and they say, hello, my name is Marvin. This is how you file for unemployment. And that's where he needs to be going. Today, I want to say something about next Wednesday, March the 22nd, which is the annual World Water Day. All right, and that's nationwide. There are vans and buses, my allergies, vans and buses being organized to pick people up at Central United Methodist Church and go to Lansing to participate in a few hours of demonstrations based on making certain that in Michigan we provide and offer access to public water, and we don't play around with that. Folks who don't have a lot of money, there's a program called Lifeline. Marion and I had talked about this program for several months, and the Lifeline program, we didn't necessarily care for it because it is a program where you ration. Thank you so very much. I got the best engineer. He brings that 2-ply out here when he hears me sniffling. See, I like that 2-ply. Okay, I'm going to use that. But in the event that you are struggling and you're low income, you are eligible if you contact the water department to, what's the number, 267-8000, and tell folks you want to be on the Lifeline program. Now, at first, we were very skeptical about it because it's actually a rationing program. It says if you're low income right here, or if you're low income right here, or if you're a little bit low income right here and a little bit higher, you are eligible or entitled to pay a certain amount every month. Well, we raised so much sand about it, they have raised the amount of water that you can use, and that is an absolute victory. So instead of 4,600 gallons of water in a month, I don't know what the new figure is, but it's much higher in each category. So the probability of a person or a family not being able to go over that amount is really within reach. So if you have to get in the Lifeline program, you have to. Now I'm going to say a little bit more about that because we've got a judge. I don't think she's made a decision yet. In studio guest, we've got a judge. We sued the Detroit Water and Sewage Department and told the judge she has to do something to protect these hundreds of thousands of low-income people. So she was supposed to make a decision right away, but I know she's torn. If she votes for us, that means the city of Detroit, the mayor, and the water department are going to be against her and do everything they can to get her out of office. If she votes for their side, then we're going to do everything we can to get her out of office. So she's conflicted would be the right word. But on the 22nd, that's on a Wednesday, we're asking as many people as possible to come ride with us. I'm not able to go, but there is an us. Come ride with us to Lansing on that particular day. We've got these vehicles, a couple of vans, and a bus that we've already requisitioned. It's free to ride. We have lunch and whatnot made available once we get to Lansing. We'll be there probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then turn back around and come back. If you're interested, and I hope you are, call us at the Welfare Rights Office, 313-964-0618, 964-0618. We need as many people as possible to sign up to go to Washington, to go to Lansing. We're going to Washington later on, though. But this Wednesday is nationally World Water Day. So call us at the office and sign up. And, of course, Wednesday is a school day, and it's a work day. So for those of you that are at work and can't get off, if you have children and you're not at work, this is a wonderful political activity you should bring your kids to, so that they can understand this concept of people having access to water. Oh, my goodness. People having access to water. Call us at Welfare Rights if you're able to go with us, 313-964-0618. Then I want to say something about these other activities that are going on. One of them is gun control. Now, in studio guest, yesterday, I think this was yesterday this happened. The reason I'm not sure is because every day in Detroit, we have what you call a non-mass shooting. It's not a mass shooting. So I call it a non-mass shooting. Yesterday, over on Frankfurt, over on the east side, a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old were involved in something, and I'm sure they were, doing what they should not have been doing. And some other youngsters, don't quite know those ages because they've not been apprehended, showed up where these two were standing, and gunfire erupted, and the 13-year-old was killed. And the 17-year-old was wounded, but apparently is going to be able to survive those wounds. And it's just outrageous. It's just absolutely outrageous. 13, the emphasis should be on the last four letters, T-E-E-N. This is a teenager. The other one, 17, that was a teenager. Somebody told me at my school yesterday that the son in their household was 19 and that he got to get out because he's a man. No, 19. Teen, T-E-E-N. And that person may need some help to try to find their way, to try to find employment, to try to find training, find a way to start off on the rest of that person's life. But this constant, daily, the first 5 stories on channel 2, 4, and 7 is somebody got, 3 people got shot, 1 died, 4 people got shot the next day, 2 died. The day after that, somebody tried to stick somebody up at a gas station, and we've got cameras to show all this stuff. And it's so horrible. Young people standing out there in their 20s with guns and holding them sideways so that they could shoot at people and shoot people. It's outrageous. What's going on in Lansing is the governor is trying to sign a package of new rules and new restrictions. And one of them is you have to be a certain age to buy a gun. I don't understand why people are fighting against that. I don't get that. You have to be a certain age to buy alcohol. What's this? So she's trying to get that one through, and I think it's going to go through. The second one is about the lockbox. I have mixed feelings about the lockbox. I understand why people have guns in their homes, because when you call the police in case there's a robbery in progress, police may not get to your house quickly. But we all know that when Cousin Ray Ray comes over to your house and they're spending a couple of hours with your 3 and your 4-year-old, and they're 8, 9, or 10, and wandering about the house and go into your bedroom and lift up the mattress, and there's the gun, and your 3 or your 4-year-old says, "Ooh, that looks like fun." And of course, they always hold the gun with the muzzle aimed at their face and pull the trigger, and some kid gets killed. We have story after story about that. And, until we're able to create some kind of a lockbox, some kind of a closet situation where you have the back of the closet and you cut a hole in it and open it up and lock it and keep the key so your gun can be handy because you think you need it. You think you need it, all right? Some kind of way we have to deal with safety. And lockboxes have always been a challenge to try to figure it out. Should you put it in the safe and you've got a combination? Well, you may not have time to do 4 or 5 different turn to the right and turn to the left. So there needs to be something done, a lock on the gun, the keys in your pocket, something like that. And I'm sure that there are people much smarter than I am that have been able to figure this stuff out. We have too much violence that happens with children. For sure, I'm mad. My girlfriend, my wife, my boyfriend, my husband is upset and coming home and thinks I'm involved with someone else, and I am. And here we come back to the house, and an argument ensues, and the way to settle it is murder-suicide. I need to kill that person who I swore I loved, and then I need to kill myself because I see how bad it looks, what I just did. So these are the kinds of laws and new rules. And this last one is about whether or not the police have the authorization to take guns away out of the house and off a person's body that it appears that person might be a danger to themselves or others. Now, Miss in studio guest, for a long time, welfare rights work with Commander Haddad over there in Dearborn, right until he retired. Miss him. He's a wonderful guy. And apparently a young man from Dearborn stole a handgun. They've got the picture. This young man worked at some convenience store or something. I've forgotten where it was. And this young man in his 20s, went to where he worked, put his hand to where the gun was, where the job kept the gun. He worked there, so he knew the gun was there. Had been in and out of mental hospitals, psychiatric patient, hearing voices, whole 9 yards. So the boss where he worked kept the gun right here. It shows he put his hand on that gun and put it in his pocket and went directly to the police station. And once he opened the doors, he took his gun and aimed it at one of the desk personnel that was behind the a glass resistant barrier. It's not bulletproof, I'm being told, at least that's what I heard, but it will defray a bullet. And this young man went in, and they got the camera. He went in. The young man behind the desk is looking at him. The fellow took 2 or 3 steps, pulled out the gun, and fired at the officer that was behind the glass. And the gun misfired. All right, so he's trying to fix it and raising his hand again. And the young man, the officer that was on the desk at that time, is screaming, gun, 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 opens the sliding resistant glass window and shot out that window, and of course wounded and killed this guy. And behind him, as the footage is being shown, you could see other officers further in the back. And then, at some point, they all come out and line up, stack up, and they go and look. And this kid is laying there. I'm calling him a kid because he's in his 20s. And the family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit. That was not going to fly. I don't think that was going to fly. You go to a police station, guns again, people that shouldn't have guns or shouldn't have access to guns have that, and this guy went directly to the police station and fired. They're not going to be able to make a good case. I think right now what the argument is that the police didn't have to kill him. Well, I always feel that way. I don't think we should be killing each other under any circumstances. But they're not going to be able to make a real good, solid case for why gunfire wasn't appropriate. And I guess the word is overkill. Why did he have to get shot so many times? I don't know. And it's about whether or not people that should not have access to guns, do the police have the authorization to go to a home and realize there is someone there with a emotional or a mental problem at that moment, and should they take that gun or those guns that are in the house, should they remove them all? And that's part of the package that Governor Whitmer and her team are trying to get signed over. Now, in-studio guests, we're still reeling from, it's been a month now, another young man, 50-something years old, that went to Michigan State University and walked up in there. They've got the camera. He walks up in there and he pulls out his guns and he's getting everything straightened out and goes through a couple of doors and then starts shooting students in classrooms. And he's got a history of psychiatric behaviors. And, it's the same thing. The National Rifle Association has taken control over this discussion. Everybody has the right to have a gun. All right, based on the Second Amendment. And I believe they were talking about muskets. I think that's what they were talking about at that time. And having the right to have access to a musket and putting the black powder in it and then the stick in it. And, what you watch on Daniel Boone movies. I think that's what they were talking about. But in an effort to guard yourself against an unlawful government, understand it, and that's an excellent point. But the National Rifle Association's point of view about the right to carry a gun is not based on safety. It's not based on let's do the right thing in case the government goes crazy. Not based on that. It's based on money. How many guns can they sell? A few years ago, probably more than a few years ago, I went to a firearms store. Woodward Avenue, is that where it was? I think it's on Woodward, near 13 Mile. I was up there by the Chicken Shack. That's why I know the block past that. So somewhere on Woodward, and it's a gun store. And in the great big store, guns all on the wall, and behind there was a firing range. So, all my friends, my family, Maureen, you need a gun. You need to go in there because you're out all the time and out at night and all this kind of stuff. And you need to get you a gun. So, okay, all right. So let me go and check this out. And I went in there, and you could smell the gun smoke, my favorite TV program. And you go in there, and I told the guy, he came right up to me, how can I help you? Well, my friends and family think I should have a gun, you know, 'cause I'm out a lot. And what do you think? So he's telling me what he thought about it. And I'm looking on the wall, and in studio guests, it's the first time I knew that this was possible. They had pink guns for little girls and blue guns for little boys. And I looked at it, and I'm listening to him, and of course his voice is fading out now because I'm shocked at the horror of what I'm looking at. You know, guns colored to deal with the gender of the shooter. So handguns that are different colors, rifles and shotguns that are different colors, and then some were psychiatric colors, blue and metallic, so they could be shiny. And now I'm not hearing what this guy is saying at all. And I looked at him, and by now sweat is across my brow. I'm so upset and worried about this. And I finally tell him, well, you know, thank you for letting me know what's possible. But I think right now I'm going to wait. And I'll come back at another time. And I'm backing up from him. And I could hear the gunfire in the back as folks were at the range in the back. I couldn't get out of that place quick enough. And just dripping with sweat, you know, at the thought of I'm in a store that sells guns, nothing wrong with that, and then all the politics behind it. And that's what I had in my mind. That's part of the concept that the governor and that team is trying to push forward. Do we have to have a gun in every room? Do we have to have a gun on every street? Do we have to have a firearm outside of every school? Because these days, you could get shot at church, you could get shot at school, and when we say school, we're talking high school, we're talking college, and we got a 6-year-old that shot at a teacher. So we're talking elementary school. You could get shot at the grocery store, Tops in New York, shopping, trying to get you some groceries. You could be my cousin Tracy coming out of the convenience store on Grand River and Outer Drive trying to get some Lay's potato chips, a loaf of bread, and some milk. And here comes the 19-year-old with a gun, a handgun, holding it sideways. You get shot and killed coming out of the convenience store. These days, we're not new to stories that say I-94. I-96 was shut down because there was an active shooter event on the freeway. And there's the police with police dogs, and the freeway is blocked, and they're out there looking for spent bullets. Right now, the only place I can think of where you can't get shot, because it used to be at a funeral home, but folks take violence to the funeral home now and shoot at each other. But the only place I can think of where you can't get shot is if you're an astronaut and you're in the rocket and you're going off. Now, I don't know what they might have at the other end, but right now I think that's about the only place you can go where it's pretty much guaranteed is gun-free. Every place else is a possibility where a person with a psychiatric problem, a temporary bipolar issue, depression, I'm angry, like the young man that shot and killed people at Michigan State. I haven't had a date in 10 years. All of this, and the National Rifle Association is picking up and organizing that conversation. So those are just some of the bills that the governor is trying to put into place to try to see if there's a way to cut down on some of this violent behavior that's going on. There are a couple of more things that are happening. I'm looking for Linda Wheeler to call us about the Block Club meeting that happened last night. 868-4336, 868-0351, 868-0342. There was a block club in Highland Park, in the city of Highland Park yesterday, and I'm told that there was some significant discussions that went forward. So, Grand Rising, I'm looking for a telephone call from you or Miss Gracie. if you went to that meeting, and let us know what happened at that. I'll wait and see if you're going to call in. In the meanwhile, I'm going to raise this other subject that has to do with street violence. The mayor has put together, I don't know if it's him or not, but probably the federal government has put this together, and the mayor of Detroit is involved in this. And apparently there is $750,000 being made available to 3 or 4 or 5 community-based groups in Detroit who have been involved with street canvassing, doing what they could to stop violence in the streets. And these groups, there's a written application process, and 3, 4, or 5 groups are going to receive that amount of money, $750,000, to cover 2 years. And within that 2 years, whatever their parameters are in terms of their service area where they work, going door to door, going in front of dope houses and picketing and, whatever else it is that they're doing. If after 2 years there is a discernible reduction in crime, violent crimes, then they'll be eligible for an additional $750,000 for the next 2 years. I absolutely approve of it. My goodness. The police are not going to be able to stop these ongoing murders and shootings. 13-year-olds shot and killed. Goodness. About 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday or day before yesterday. Police can't do this by themselves. And we have a responsibility to help, to do something, because if you live in Detroit, Highland Park, Hamtramck, same thing, but if you live in Detroit, you are aware that this thing is out of control and getting worse and worse and worse. So I absolutely approve of that. I know we have people down at this station that are knee-deep involved in community canvassing, absolutely support the work that some of those groups have been doing. And when I say some, I absolutely approve of all of it. Any groups that are able to go block to block, gas station to gas station, corner to corner, canvassing and servicing to make certain that elders are able to walk to the store. Children are able to play outside. If you're involved in that kind of work, and that's difficult work, if you're involved in that kind of work, certainly Welfare Rights supports your efforts. We wish you well. Many times, Marion and I have participated in some of those activities that go on, and I think that that's the way to handle this. The street violence and street crime cannot get better unless the community steps forward to this. Police can't do it alone. Community can't do it alone. So together, it's a possibility that we can craft a plan where we can cut down on some of this activity. The New Era group apparently was at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gas stations over a period of time, all night, here for an hour, here for 2 hours, and moving around. And the gas station owners at the places where they've been canvassing, and at a few convenience stores where they've been canvassing, indicated that over a period of 30 days they had 1 attempted robbery. Same thing with Reverend Malik Shabazz, out in the community, walking around in the neighborhoods for many years, doing this kind of work. So, Pastor Mo, there are folks that have been doing these kinds of things, and I hope that they have pulled themselves together. It's not easy to write a grant for a plan, but you have to find a way to do it and go find somebody else to help you write a grant for a plan, because that's the kind of help that I think we need. It is absolutely crazy, the kinds of violence, the kind of street violence that's going on. And that's over here, a certain amount of money being spent for that, lives being lost. And over here, you've got banks. Can't make this stuff up. You've got banks that are failing. If you remember the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, and James Stewart and Donna Reed, and it was about what was the name of it? The Bailey Savings and Loan. And here we got a run on a bank on TV, and people were coming to the bank to withdraw their money after they had heard the rumor that the bank was in trouble. And that's what's going on now. We've got Silicon Valley Bank failing. I forgot the other one that's in New York, but it's about 8 or 9 of them that are in trouble. And some of your larger banks are trying to pull resources in the billions together to give to these banks who have made these risky investments. And these risk investments didn't pan out. They thought they were going to make millions of dollars. Didn't work that way. And before they were able to figure out how wrong their decisions were, they all took bonuses. They all took vacations, going to Hawaii for 3 weeks at a time, all expenses paid. All this kind of stuff, the way corporations act. The way corporations act. I tell you, if you stab one of them, they're going to bleed. And the bleeding is not always red. They got different colors of blood that come out because they only know how to do one thing. It's like Jaws, the fish. All they know to do is to eat and eat and eat. And we're the victims of that devouring and that appetite that they never get tired of. So we have this kind of circumstance going on. More and more people are depressed. More and more people are having all kind of problems, not being able to make ends meet. You know, we've got housing crisis situations occurring nationwide, and we've got the bad one right here in Detroit, and certainly in Wayne County, where these COVID programs ended on March 1st. And now people are no longer eligible to get help with rent because you lost your job for so long during COVID, and it was so difficult to catch up. So we have all of these things going on, mental health crises almost every day, every other day. And then, you know, folks are wondering, my goodness, why do I feel so bad? Why is my appetite not there? Why am I not able to sleep at night? I'm sleeping 20, 30 minutes and I'm waking up in a cold sweat. And that's because all of this is going on. You know, school's going crazy. Students going nuts. You know, 3 years being out of class, and now they're trying to figure out what they can do. All the educational institutions, what can they do to try to improve, increase, and implement plans to help these children get back up to a learning level that is going to help them along the way. And you can't do it in 2 months. It's not going to happen in 3 months. COVID. So first time I heard about COVID was in November of 2019. And that's because one of my good friends at the National Geographic called me and said, look here, Maureen, there's something going on in this place called Wuhan, China, where they've got 4 Ford manufacturing corporation companies there, 4 of them. And all 4 were closed a week or so earlier. And this is like November of 2019. Do I know anything about it? Say, well, no, I haven't heard anything about that. Let me call some of my UAW friends. And I did. Called around, some of the retirees, called Gamble, called Jimmy Settles, called Reggie, called everybody I knew. And nobody had any information about that. Now, again, that was in November of 2019. By February or March of 2020, I started to hear stories about nursing homes, convalescent centers in Washington, Seattle, and staff were falling out. Patients, or not patients, but residents in these nursing homes were passing away at exorbitant numbers. So many dying so quickly that they had to bring in refrigerated trucks. And I thought, what is this? No clues. And that would have been February and March of 2020. The governor appointed the Racial Task Force for COVID-19 issues in April. And I was recruited to that in April or May, became a member of the task force. And I still didn't know. Most of us, we got doctors on this, 162 people on this task force. And by then, doctors didn't even know what it was. What are we looking at? We knew finally a virus of some sort was spreading. And of course, what we were thinking about and talking about then was this foolish person in the White House talking about the Kung flu, and knew that such a racist and horrible term was designed to point the finger at people of Asian descent. This wasn't a country, a virus. It was a virus that should have been and finally was studied. All of these things continue. I got my mask over there. I wear my mask when I'm going to places where there are a lot of people. Because in Michigan, we still have about 130 people that die in the state of Michigan every day from COVID. And just because some of these prohibitions have been lifted, that doesn't mean that COVID it decided, well, let me pack my bags and go to Ohio, or let me pack my bags and get my COVID family and my virus buddies and go to another state. No, it looks like COVID and those kinds of infections and viruses may be here to stay, because the COVID virus has access to Zoom. And the COVID virus has Zoom meetings every night. And they have conversations. And they talk about, well, where can we go where we're welcome? And they got a long list of places where they can go and where they're welcome. We got a bunch of kids in college that's going down to spring break. And the folks in Florida are getting themselves together for fights and drinking and alcohol and COVID infections being spread. Unbelievably crazy to me. Unbelievable crazy. The governor here is still involved in COVID activities, still involved in prevention, still involved with programs that train and teach and remind people, don't go places where there are a lot of folks without your face covering, because here comes the flu season is here, and some of these other activities, and you have to be careful, and you still have to be careful, and people shouldn't have to do TV commercials and radio commercials to tell you that. 868-4336-868-0351 and 868-0342. We're down to our last about 20 minutes. March 22nd, if you want to go to Lansing, and we need you to go to Lansing, please call us at Welfare Rights, 313-964-0618, and sign up to go to Lansing in either one of our vans or one of our buses. We're going up there for World Water Day. There will be marches and pickets and demonstrations and whatnot to talk about reproductive rights, and do women still have reproductive rights and access to that. There are going to be other demonstrations and conversations about gun control. What can we do to keep each other safe? And there's going to be conversations about all manners of activities that deal with democracy, the right to vote, not throwing out votes from people who live in Detroit or Wayne County because Republicans didn't like the way the vote turned out. All of that, all kinds of things are going on. It doesn't cost any money at all to ride with us up to Lansing. So please get involved. This World Water Day situation is very important. Over the summer, people are going to lose access to water unless they sign up for the Lifeline program. You must, 267-8000. Call the Detroit Water Department and tell someone there that you want to get involved in the water or in the Lifeline program. If you're in it, you are protected from shut-off. Even if your bill is very high, they will assign you to a caseworker in the Lifeline program and let you know how much your monthly water bill is. We are for that. Welfare Rights supports that. And tell you that because you signed up for the Lifeline program, you are protected from shut-off. So you must get in it, 267-8000. All right. My Welfare Rights members and friends, we had a meeting Wednesday, and it was supposed to be a staff meeting, and you all just wrong. And what it turned out to be, Tim, you didn't know this, what it turned out to be was a surprise party for the new grandmother. And that would be me. All right. And we're waiting on baby Zoe, and her name is ZOH. And so we're waiting on baby Zoe. So here comes the grandma baby shower. And I got baby shoes. I got it was the one thing, what is it called? A teething ring, and it's got fingers, toes on it. And I thought, what is this? Say, well, babies put their feet in their mouth, and they can teeth on the baby foot teething ring. I thought, dang, what an idea. So I got a foot teething ring, a hand teething ring, something you wear around your wrist. I got baby carrying something that the baby can go right here. I got a backpack. I thought, gee, we're going to school. Say, no, the baby go in the back. Well, my baby is 35 plus years old. So, I'm trying to learn some of these new things, right? So, baby's got all kind of contraptions and all kinds of things, including the diapers. And they're cloth diapers you can't find anymore. And I thought, that's news. Okay, have to figure out some of this stuff. But I'm not going to worry about it because once me and Zoe come to a meeting of the minds and I talk to her about stuff, we ain't going to wear diapers no more. We ain't doing that no more, yeah. In the beginning you couldn't handle your business. But you 3, 4, 5 months now, stop all that. And if you have to go to the bathroom, we'll create a certain kind of language. You say, I understand what that means. And we'll handle it, So I'm going to pick up details and tidbits of advice from grandmothers, like the one that's in the studio now, and the engineer. He got about 40, 50 grandkids, so I'm going to ask him a few things about how you do this stuff. But I got the one-piece baby car seat already. Zoe's got her first T-shirt from me that says Babies Matter. Okay, she got a protest sign already, got a sign already made up for the baby. And I know the mother and the father are not going to let me hold on to this kid right away. But they've already surrendered and told me we already know what's going to happen. As soon as this baby is able to get out into the streets, I'm going to go right down to Central United Methodist Church, get this baby signed up as a member. She don't have to tithe for a little while because she's not going to have no money. And then we're going to go upstairs to the 4th floor so I can show her, here's your desk. And there will be work that you have to do. Now, you may not be able to write so good right now, but at some point, this will be your desk, and you're going to have to do some welfare rights work, Tim, your doorbell's ringing. So that news is really good. I'm very excited about this, very excited. Zoe is due sometime in April. And we had a betting pool. And betting on the size. I think it's $1 to get into the pool. Now, I said 5 pounds, 7 ounces. And we had some people that had ill intentions that said 10 pounds. And ill intentions when you say that sort of thing. 10 pounds, 12 ounces, 10 pounds, what? All right, so the mother took offense at that. Yes, she did. So, we had a lot of people at the granny baby shower, and people were involved in the $1 bet to see what the baby's weight would be. So that's coming up, and that's kind of exciting as well. 868-4336-868-0351 and or 868-0342. All right, the last thing I want to try to bring up is this question of a character flaw. Now, corporations have a character flaw, and it's something wrong with all of them. The CEOs may be good people, nice people, the folks that work there. We've got really great people that we know at Welfare Rights that work with, like DTE, and some really nice people that work with the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. We know some folks that are really nice, and when you call them to explain there's a circumstance that needs a particular kind of intervention, they always find a way to help out. But the overall character flaw in corporations cannot be repaired. You can't fix that, all right, because they have a corporate mentality. Now, here's the example. I've got a lady that called me, and she's got a $4,000 DTE bill built up over a period of time. She used to live at this address. Then she moved in with her mom, and her mom passed. She's still staying at that house, and moved to a third place, and now she's got this large bill, and she's gone back to work again. COVID hit her, and she's gone back to work again. So I contact some folks that we know at DTE and tell them, this lady's service is off and it needs to be turned back on. And their response to me was the corporate line, okay? And the corporate line says this: if you're behind on your bill and it's over that amount that these agencies will work with, you have to find a way to manage. And there's the character flaw. The individuals that we know, they don't talk that way. But some of the agency people, the corporate people, when you call delinquent accounts, that's what they say. You owe this kind of money, we need 1/3 of it. So you have to come up with $1,500. Poor people don't have $1,500 in their pocket. So, the character flaw component is what I talk to people about all the time. We do this at Welfare Rights all the time. You have to look past what the rules are. There was, what's his name, Gorbachev. Ronald Reagan told him in some kind of speech, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And I sent a message out to tell him, the heads of, thank you, sir, tell the heads of the folks at DTE, Mr. President, you got to tear down this practice. Water Department, you got to tear down that practice. All of these corporations, HUD, housing, you got to tear down these practices. We can't have people being evicted out of their homes. The in-studio guest has a history and remembers when we were over at the Hannon House. And what was that? The Williams Pavilion and the Bicentennial Towers. And a new management company went in there, that was 20 years ago, and started to throw people's property out because there was a rent strike going on. And that's the first time I saw where seniors and caretakers were living in that building. And the eviction team were throwing out baby strollers. I'd never seen that before. You took a baby stroller with all of the devices and the mattress and the coverings and everything and threw the baby stroller out, and maybe it fell over into a puddle of water as you were removing people's items out of a building. That was some horrific stuff. I didn't think I'd ever seen anything like that, and I still remember. That's what a character flaw is. A character flaw is you're an African-American policeman, big fella, muscles in your nose, muscles in your fingers, 5 or 6 or 7 of you all, and you mad because a little bitty fella ran off and you couldn't find him. And then you canvassed the neighborhood in Memphis and you did find him. Louisville, I've forgotten where it was now. And you did find him, and you started to pummel him and beat him. You're a black guy, and the person you're beating looks just like you. But it got worse. You took your foot, and you put your foot on somebody's face, and you kicked them. See, that's a character flaw. That doesn't have anything to do with you being black. That's a character flaw. You could be white and had that same kind of character flaw. And apparently one of the first people involved in this most recent case was just that kind of guy. I hope they find his ASS. See, that's a character flaw. The police are very good at saying to the community, if you see something, say something. I'm for that. But they need to do the same thing. If you see something, say something. They know about police officers that are wrong, that are aggressive and assertive and abrupt and violent and have those tendencies. They know it. We need police officers that are decent, good, kind, and trying to help a situation and not hurt people because you didn't do what I said for you to do just like that. So you didn't obey fast enough. So what that means is I need to show you that I'm the authority. I can shoot in your house, Breonna Taylor, and you in the bed sleep, and I can still have multiple bullets go into your body, and then later on find out, oops, and nobody's held accountable. All of these, I'm thinking about the Sterling case, and what is that kid's name in Cleveland, the little bit, Tamir Rice. That's the one that sticks in my craw. Tamir Rice was 11 or 12 years old, a tall kid, and had his gun at the playground with the little orange top on it and was playing. And the police car pulled up, and he saw it. Smile broke out because he was interested in law enforcement and started walking toward the police car. And the cop got out in less than 3 seconds and shot him in the chest, and he died. Tamir Rice. And I think about that kind of stuff. That particular officer that committed that crime had been transferred into the Cleveland police department from another police department where he had been let go for aggressive behavior. And then he retired. He resigned and went to another police unit. And he's still there. And, you know, if you see something, say something. That should cover everybody. You know, we don't have to keep going through this police brutality year after year after year. The citizens shooting at the police, mental health issues. The guy, 55 years of age, shooting at police officers and wounded 2 of them, and came and said afterwards, well, I didn't know it was the police. What are you talking about? It's a POL right here, ICE right here. It says police on the hat. There are police cars all over the place in front of your house. And then we look and we get the information. He'd been in and out of psychiatric hospitals, mental health programs, mental health activities. And for whatever reason, in the house where he was, he knew where the gun was. These are the kinds of things that we have to suffer because we're involved in class and we're working class people. And that's the kind of stuff that happens in the neighborhoods where we are. So as we go forward to figure stuff up and go up to Lansing, I certainly hope you'll join us. I don't know, maybe I scared folks today and nobody wanted to call and have a discussion, but I hope I didn't. This is the Ask Welfare Rights broadcast, and we're about to sign off now. Don't forget to call us, 964-0618, about anything you missed. Get involved in that MyHop program. Get involved. Until then, if the Lord is willing and the creek doesn't rise, I will be back here next Friday. And up until then, bye.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. We are living through unprecedented times with a global pandemic now approaching its 3rd year. As a result, the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund was created. This fund, administered by the state of Michigan, is designed to help homeowners cope with pandemic-related hardships, such as delinquent property taxes. To see if you qualify, please visit. Call 313-388-9799 or email taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.